somebody said they was a breadwinner. Thought I heard somebody said they was a breadwinner. Thought I heard somebody say they want a breadwinner. Thought I heard somebody say they want a breadwinner.
Everybody,
what is poppin'? Welcome to episode.
Oh, we said that at the same time.
No, I interrupted. Go
Welcome
ahead.
to episode 3 of Breadwinners.
I am Carly Berghoff.
And I'm Courtney Goodson.
And yeah, welcome into episode 3. You know what we do? We start with good news bears every single time.
Bark it to them. Bark it to them.
I have good news.
I know you do.
We got our first sponsor.
Yes, we
did. And that's not only good news for us, it's good news for you guys too. Because they donated a lovely gift as a giveaway.
Yes.
So I'm going to show you guys now. Look at this, it's like a Rastafarian style backpack for the Texans, but we got goods inside.
We got goods.
There's like goods, and we're not going to show you that because that's part of the fun. I will tell you this though, there are 2 free rounds of golf. It's donated by Shanks Blacklight Mini Golf. It's one of the coolest. Courtney and I spent some time there. I think I beat her in mini golf, basketball,
I knew that
time
was
freak.
Stop it. Just stop it right now. Continue
I think the
on.
Jurassic
Just stop
Park
it.
game. Basically, if it was a game, I beat her. Shanks Blacklight Mini Golf, The Woodlands, open year-round for family fun, birthday parties, team events, and cute date nights. The most unique indoor course that you'll ever see. Come get your glow on. Visit them at shanksgolf.com for more information. So, like I said, it's good news for us. They donated some of our little props, and then they got a prize for you guys. Tell them how to win it.
So basically, all you need to do is pretty simple. Go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube. We'll actually put the link in our Twitter bio, so you won't have to look for it. And then also, we'll tweet a link, and then you'll need to retweet that. So as soon as you subscribe to our YouTube channel and you retweet our link, all you need to do is DM us, slide in our DMs, and let us know you did it. And
some of
then
y'all are
you're
good
to
at
go.
sliding into DMs, so don't even pretend.
I know, so don't even front. You know how to do it. Don't even try it. Slide in our DMs. Let us know you retweeted our link on Twitter. You subscribe to our YouTube channel, and that's it. It's
and
pretty
we're gonna
simple.
randomly pick you guys.
Exactly.
One of you guys. One of you lucky guys.
And then don't be trying. Hold on. Don't be trying to be slick and stuff. Trying to retweet our tweet and then unretweet.
undo.
Yeah. Don't play us like that. Don't do it. Just support us. Support Breadwinners. And do the right thing.
Do the right thing. It's as simple as that. So that was the good news. Let's talk about some bad news.
Bad news for you.
Let's talk about bad news. Probably for me. Let's talk about our brackets.
Yes.
So Courtney and I we made a bet with each other.
Yes.
And I guess we can break that down. Basically, how we're gonna do is just between us.
Mm-hmm.
Our brackets are already busted thanks to UMBC and
But yours is busted.
OU. Anyways, what we're gonna do is we're gonna tally up all our wins for the individual games and see who has the most. Courtney thinks it's her. I think it's me. It's kind of that whole I'm better than you kind of thing.
Stop it. Just stop it. Don't even lie. Keep it real with our audience.
I'm used to beating you in many things in life, so I'm expecting a W on this.
Stop it.
So let's tell them about the bet. What am I supposed to do?
So what you will be doing is, my bet was when Carly loses, which I'm pretty sure she has once we tally up the votes, or whatever the wins. Carly's gonna go a week because she volunteered, because originally I said she had to go 3 days without wearing any shoes. Now, to be nice, I told her she could wear some socks.
And then I got overconfident.
Yeah, and talking about, I can go a week. Okay, since you lost, you'll be going a week without shoes. So wherever Carly goes, so she's gonna be at U of H's campus without shoes. She'll be at work without shoes. She'll be getting her gas without shoes. She'll be walking into the grocery store without shoes. Whatever it is for a week, Carly will be without shoes.
Okay, we'll see. But if I win, I said that I get to create Courtney a Tinder account, like she doesn't already have one.
Girl, please.
I'm gonna get on there, hand select a suitor for Courtney. They then have to go on a legit date for at least an hour, and I'm gonna sit at a nearby table, taking notes, living it up. And I mean, mine was better. It's definitely gonna be a bummer if I don't win, because I'm pretty sure the audience wanted to see that one more.
Yeah, but you lost. That's
Again, that's a fair point. I probably did, but I'm just saying it would have been funnier. My bet was better.
We will let you guys know after we tally it up. Unfortunately, we didn't get to it before we filmed this, but we'll get to it. We'll probably...
Are we going all the way through? Don't you want to go all the way?
Oh, I guess we could, but yeah, I guess we could.
We'll figure it out.
What? And see,
Say it on
see who
camera.
actually wins?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna win, so I don't even really care.
So anyways, that's our bet. Going forward, we got some good games for the Sweet 16. Kansas State plays Kentucky. Loyola plays Nevada. Florida State plays Gonzaga. Michigan State, Michigan, Texas A&M, Syracuse, Duke, Kansas, Clemson, Texas Tech, Purdue, Villanova, and West Virginia.
Yep, I'm looking forward. Actually, since we talked to Kevin, I'm looking forward to the Syracuse
I am
and Duke
too.
game. I'm kind of going for Syracuse now. At first, I was going for Duke, but
Kevin Cooper is going to be
I'm
on.
gonna bleed orange with him this time.
Yeah, Kevin Cooper's going to be on later in the show. He's our guest today. We were talking kind of Syracuse. He graduated from Syracuse. So you guys are going to hear more about that with the interview. We are going to take a look at an out-of-studio segment that we shot. It's just kind of how women sometimes feel when we tell people that we like sports.
When people try to play us.
Yeah. So take a look at this.
Welcome, class. Thank you all for being here today. I've prepared an off-the-cuff exam that you have absolutely no chance of passing. That's going to test your true knowledge and love for sports. However, once you fail, your true passion for sports will be thrown out the window, as us true sports fans will never take you seriously ever again. Okay, class, get your number 3 pens out. First question. How many free throws did Shaquille O'Neal miss throughout his entire NBA career? And please round to the nearest tenth.
Nearest tenth.
I haven't rounded a number in a while.
I know, right?
Okay.
All right. Let's see.
Pete Carroll, head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. I'm sure you all know of him. What is his favorite type of chewing gum?
Okay, I know this one because they'll zoom in on ESPN. It's like that winter green, winter fresh, that bright green. I think it's extra.
Okay. All right. Are we supposed to whisper?
Can we talk? I think we can talk.
Next question. What country is home of the largest bowling alley with 116 lanes?
Why would you have that many lanes?
It's probably a country that's popping with people.
Probably
Japan.
like Japan or something like that. Yeah. They're like advanced, so yeah. Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. Yeah.
New Orleans Saints tight end, Michael Humanawanui. Spell it.
How many O's does that have?
Can you say that? Can you say it again?
Michael Humanawanui.
Country of origin? Can't help. Okay.
That's a joke.
I know there's a silent Y in there, dude.
Humananui.
Humanawanui.
What? Okay.
Michael Jordan. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of him. Should be an easy question if you are a true sports fan, like you say, ladies. He scored 38 points in a game while he was playing with the flu. What was the strain of flu that his body was fighting? And please only use doctor
There
jargon.
was like only one flu.
The
Like
swine flu.
swine
bird
flu. I
flu.
guess that's- No, I think it's swine flu.
Swine
I
flu.
would go with that. That's the only flu. I thought it was okay. I thought it was just flu. But hey, swine.
Okay, girls, we all know Joe Montana. Played 14 seasons with,
The 49ers. Easy.
Okay.
excuse me, I had something in my throat. Yes, he played for the 49ers. However, the question is, what is his completion percentage for the 1987 season?
Who would know that?
Can you ask that again on it?
The completion percentage for the 1987 season. I only knew 1988. That's, yeah. Not sure.
Jose Altuve, he just signed the largest contract in Astros history for $151 million for 7 seasons. What does that equal in Venezuelan dollars? And ladies, remember inflation.
Sir, I think the Venezuelan dollar is a bolivar.
-5. Okay, ladies, your final question of the exam. Please write a 1,000-word essay describing what is a catch in the NFL.
Of course.
This is unbelievable.
That is definitely how some women feel when they say they like sports.
So we got A+s though.
We did.
So we're good.
We killed it.
Yes, we did.
All right, guys. Obviously, we have a guest today. We are sitting down with the man, Kevin Cooper.
Kevin
How are you?
Cooper.
I'm good. How are you all?
Good. We're so
Good.
happy to have you here.
I don't know about the man, but I appreciate
No, you
You
are
are the
You're
man.
the boss man.
You are.
I
So
don't know about that.
Well, let me let people know you've just founded, a year anniversary now for Point One Group.
Yeah.
Yes,
I got
awesome.
a LinkedIn notification, so
There you go.
congrats on that. So we do, obviously you're in this, on this pedestal now, you've got your own group, but we want to talk to you about your journey and how you got there. You went to Syracuse and then you started as a PR intern with the Tennessee Titans. So kind of walk us through your journey and how you got to where you are.
Yeah, I just, growing up, I always loved sports, and I always wanted to be in sports. So when I was an undergrad, I wanted to be a broadcaster, and I saw that as my real intro into sports, but I got into PR. So I got a PR internship with the Tennessee Titans way back in 1999. I don't want to know what you guys were doing in 99. But I got a summer internship, and I immediately fell in love. I really enjoyed what I was doing. So I was going into my junior year of college. Then going into my senior year, I was able to intern with the St. Louis Rams. And after that, I graduated from school back in 2001 and got with the New York Giants. And it was such a storybook fantasy for me, where it was just, here's this kid that's going to have to get things figured out. And I really appreciated my journey and where it led me to. Then it get me back here as an intern in 2002. I'm a firm believer in putting in your duty, and you've got to do the grunt work to get to where you want to be. You don't just start with the corner office. I mean, you've got to build towards something. But as in anything in life and relationships, if you've got to build towards something, it's going to be that much better.
So let me talk to you about those PR jobs. What were some of you just talked about, doing your duties. What were some of those duties?
Oh, one of my favorite ones was when I was with the Giants, I was a real intern. So, it's funny, when I left the Texans back in 2015, I think we had like 20 interns, and that was an evolution of about 15 years of interning that I'd seen. Well, when I was with the Giants, there was like 3 interns in the entire building.
Wow.
And I had to do things like, I had to go buy lottery tickets from Connecticut on more than one occasion. I had to get poinsettias. This was before smartphones, and they were like, okay, well, I need you to go down to Wall Street and go pick this up. And I'm like, how do I get there? And it's like this old thing called MapQuest, so I had to MapQuest. It's
Before
just
Uber.
the Uber. This was before smartphones. So you just kind of had to go in and get it figured out, and then you had to do your job. The one thing that I found is that life does not give you any excuses, and there's no excuse of why you can't have success. It does take a few breaks, and it does take in people and believing in you, but the number one person that you got to do is you got to believe in yourself. So there was a lot that went into it, and that 2001 season really was instrumental to me. 9/11 happened, and from where our stadium was about 8 miles away from the Twin Towers. And at that age, I didn't have a phone, so the cell phone that I had shut off, and you have to have a message of I'm okay, and then that just kind of grows you up. You look at internships and opportunities, you're looking for growth, and that's the one thing that I really got with the Giants, which was great.
That's awesome. And so over the course of your job experience, it's been public relations for the most part. You've been in the public relations industry for over 10 years. So what has been that driving factor to keep you in the field for so long?
You know what? It was just the ability to tell a story. There was the greatest thing about working with the Texans is we were so brand new. We didn't have any team history. We didn't have anything before 2002. So we were just telling a story. We literally had a blank canvas and said, okay, go paint what you guys want to be. And we had some lean years to start. We had about a lean decade before we actually made the playoffs. But it was just the growth that we had. It was the camaraderie we had. It was the ability for us to grow just as an organization and as people and as professionals. And I'll be bonded with that organization forever. And so much love that I have in my heart of what we were able to become and what we were able to be. And I absolutely loved it.
And see, I'm glad you brought up the Houston Texans because you literally climbed the ladder working with the Houston Texans, literally. So how drastic were those transitions for you moving up the ladder with the Houston Texans.
So it's funny. Off air, we were talking about the show Hamilton, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't
Yeah.
know if you all are into Hamilton, but there's a song in it that talks about my shot. And the one thing is that you can't throw away your shot. Like when you get an opportunity, you have to take it. And the funny thing is when you get these opportunities, you don't know everything, but you better act like you can get it figured out.
Yeah.
You know, where it's just there's never the answer of no. There's the answer of let me get that figured out for you. You know, and that's your research. It's having a good staff. It's having good people around you that know who you are, that care about you, that want to see your success. But most importantly, it's your name on the line. And there was a guy that was a mentor of mine named Tony Wiley that really believed in me, that saw more in me than I even saw in myself. So there was that bond and connection, and it really fostered itself, and that's the way that I've been able to become what I was.
So then tell me about your jump. You were working with the Texans, and then you decided to take over the Super Bowl. How did that happen?
I didn't quite take over the Super Bowl. I did PR within the Super Bowl. I never am a person that wears it on my sleeve, but I'm a man of faith and listening to what the universe is kind of telling me what to do, and it was just my time to go. You know, it was 14 years, and we had a little bit of a change within the environment, and I said, let me go do something that could be what I want to do. I've always found ownership to be the most important thing. The great philosopher of the early 21st century, Stephon Marbury, one time said, "You either own or you're owned." And for some reason, that really stuck to me. And I was just like, you know what? I'm at a point right now that I can make something that is different. I went from doing PR with the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl to me was literally, it's probably the most fun I've ever had in my career.
I can imagine.
Once in a lifetime opportunity.
It really was, especially for your hometown, and just going forward and saying this idea and that idea, and let's just go do it. Everyone was happy to see you. So I absolutely loved my time with the Super Bowl. But the Super Bowl for me was kind of an off-ramp to this long freeway that I'd been on within the NFL. And I said, hey, let me try something new, and let me see what it kind of comes out of it. And I had an opportunity to really think, and I just decided to make a leap into technology. Now, my technological background is literally, I have the ability to turn my phone on and off, and that's generally the extent of it. So I got into it because there was a guy named David Anderson that really said something that was really inspiring. He said, you can actually get a meeting. And I said, yeah, you're right. And once you're inside, when you're inside of a business for so long, or you don't have a lot of thought, you have, and especially in sports, it's you're trying to get through Monday, you're trying to get through Tuesday, you're trying to get through Wednesday, and there's not a lot of growth within that space because it is so fast, and there's so many things that kind of come at you. Well, I said, okay, let me get out, let me take a year to kind of think about what can I do in sports. So I said, hey, let me sit and see if I can merge sports and technology, and I think that this is the opportunity for me to actually own a business, and that's just what I did. I took a leap about a year ago, and it's been fantastic.
So tell us about your business, your new business, Point One Group, right?
Yeah.
Tell us what it's all about.
Point One Group kind of what I initially got into it was to tell the story of individuals. At my heart, I think I'm a storyteller. I think you have a great story. I think you have a great story. I think that the people that are on the cameras here, your lovely floor manager has a story. Everyone has a story. Everyone back in the studio, everyone has a story. And I said, okay, what happens now within sports is we don't know as much about the ticket holders, let's just say, or fans as individuals. We know of them as a mass of, this is what women between the age of 21 and 25, this is what they do. Well, the one thing that I've learned a lot from your generation, I think that you guys are, between Gen Z and millennials, I think you guys are really going to change the world. And I think someone needs to listen to you guys. And I think that it started for me within sports, and I said, okay, well, we can adopt it. So what we want to do now is to kind of do data capture that it specifies through you. So it's kind of a mobile application. There are lots of different ideas that we're trying to get to the surface. As a young businessman, there's a lot of stuff that I have to learn. Everything has to be funded. I mean, that's going to be something that's important. You have to have good people around you. You have to know that there's a legal component to it, there's a financial component to it, because if we're not making money, then we're just doing hobbies. And at this age with 2 kids and a wife, like, I can't be doing hobbies. Like my wife has allowed me to do hobbies for about the last year, and she's like, okay, well, we got things we got to pay for. So I think that support system has been very important for me, and it's just the ability to sit and see what I can create. I do my own hours. It's like any relationship, though. With what you put into is what you get out of it. So if you put everything that you are, you're going to get something good out of it. If you don't do as good of a job, then you're not going to get much out of it.
So are you guys creating content? Are you putting it out? Where can our audience find your work?
So I haven't necessarily come to fruition just yet,
Okay.
but there are several ideas. So let's take this idea, and don't steal my idea here. But
Yeah.
I think that you being from Boston, you being from Houston. Let's talk about the University of Houston, right? Did you go to a college fair when you guys were in high school?
I did not.
Okay. College fairs, right? So I'm a Syracuse alum, and I love going to college fairs.
Okay.
But what happens is they give you books, and they give you all of this paper. And again, listening to your generation, I don't think you guys read as much paper. And that's not an insult, but
Yeah.
it's just the ability to sit and say. So I said, okay, well, what about taking that college experience, and how about I do that view book, especially for someone from Boston? How many times did you ever come, don't answer this question, but how many times did you ever come down to Houston to actually see the campus? Well, look at the campus through your phone and a mobile application. And that gives you the ability to populate within the admissions office that they say, oh, like, you have actually looked at the video 10 times, you've looked at it 16 times. So these two might be 2 people that are interested in the University of Houston. Kevin's looked at it once, so maybe he's not as. So let's figure out what our focus is. And there's just, I think that technology gives you that ability. It's just the ability to now, like I said, get meetings and say, hey, you can change this through this. And these aren't very hard applications. But again, it's literally telling the story for our clients. I think that another thing that we want to do is we want to tell your mobile story when you're at a football game. Or a basketball game or a baseball game. I just think that the ability to actually get you to the stadium is going to be important via Waze, not listening to the radio. The ability to have your tickets on your phone, I think that's going to be important. I think the ability to transfer your tickets from here to, let's say that you have season tickets to the Celtics and you can't go to a game because, I don't know, you're in Houston. Transfer it to someone in Boston as opposed to doing, and a lot of this stuff is out there in the industry. It's just not under one umbrella. And I look at it as Facebook and MySpace. There are things that are out there. You just got to do it well.
Improve it.
You have to improve it, and you have to move very fast because your competition is forever there. I mean, I just saw a story the other day that they're like, we talked about cryptocurrency, and you hear Bitcoin. There's like 100 different cryptocurrencies out
Yes,
there,
there
and it's
are.
just like,
Well, I have no idea, but
I have
believe
no
you.
idea either. Thanks, John Oliver, for explaining that to me. But there's so much stuff that's out there. I think that the ability to connect people is towards one common bond. I think that's important, and sports really gives you that.
So you have different components within the app or Point One group. So I want to know, how big is your team?
The team, I say we a lot, but the team is basically me.
That's
which
awesome.
Is,
That's
which is,
awesome.
Yeah, it's
Solo
great.
dolo.
Yeah.
So it starts with an idea, and I told you guys before, I dig your generation. Like I have goals and aspirations of what I want to accomplish and what I know that I'm going to accomplish. One thing that I want to do within my group as we grow, I want to eliminate 8 to 5 because I think it's very stressful. And I want to eliminate the ability to say, okay, well, you got to come in, sit at a desk, and sit in an office. Like, I would love to hire everyone in this studio and say, okay, well, we have different spots. How about you go to Tokyo? How about you go to Argentina? How about you go to New York? How about you go to
We'll
London?
send you some resumes.
Please do.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
I have no money to pay it right now, but it's all up here. But I just think that the ability to listen to you as the employee, and then also getting away from that boss employee kind of divide where there's a tension. It's just, we've got a partner in things, and if you feel vested that you know that what we're doing, you take you guys, let's say that you're 24 years old. Let's sit and say we sign you to a 3-year contract and you're out at 27. Well, now it's time for you to create, because what I told you before, either you own or you're owned. I want everyone to understand that, like, you guys can own whatever you want. And that's such an important thing. You know, I got 2 kids, and I tell them all the time. I was inspired. Dame Dash, you can go look this up. He was on the Breakfast Club. It was like a 7-minute and 47-second clip, and he just talked about a mentality of being a boss versus being an
I
employee.
actually watched that.
You
It's
tweeted
fantastic.
about it a lot
Yeah, I
too.
watched
It's
it.
fantastic just because, you know, he has a quote. He says, "Hey, I hustle for my last name, not for my first." And I think that that's just so important. You guys can have everything that you want in life. I think that that's so important. You've got to be skilled. You've got to work hard. Like, nothing is going to be given to you. Like, I can tell you that.
Absolutely.
I sit and I run with my son all the time. He loves baseball, and one of the guys that really inspired me, 2 of the guys that really inspired me in my career were J.J. Watt and Andre Johnson. You know, J.J. I think really kind of shows the world that, hey, I'm out here really working, and he works hard. He has this unbelievable regimen. And I think that's important. You know, but Andre Johnson did it too from such a quiet standpoint. Like, these guys, like, you're not just great just because, like, it just doesn't get thrust upon you. It's how hard you're able to work. And in anything in life, you get out of it what you put in. I think that's just so important.
That's so true. And so I do have a question. So how much more or less work do you put in with being your own boss in comparison to working for someone else, like for the Texans, for example?
Well, the great thing with the industry of football, it's a timing industry, if that makes any sense. You know, there's a professor here, Ashley Dewalt, that great professor, and we work together very closely on a lot of these ventures that we have. And we talk about it one time, and we've kind of said, if you could put together a real solid 6 hours worth of work, not looking at Facebook, not looking at Twitter, not wondering what everyone else is doing, and just sit there and work, like, you could really get a solid day done. Now, within sports is very much a get there at 7, you're going to leave at 7. And you might still have that 6 hours worth of work, but you're so much on standby. And that's just something that's just what the industry is. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I remember that I took several calls at 2 a.m. just to know what was going on, and hey, this is going to happen, and this is what's going on, or someone's calling, and you're 24 hours on, and I got a paycheck for that at the end. You know, well, now I'm 24 hours on, I don't get a paycheck, but I get out of it what it's worth, and everything that I do needs to build towards a last buyout, if that makes any sense. And the great thing about it, there's a key word that you guys need to focus on, and everyone in here needs to focus on too: equity. You know, I don't think that enough young people kind of focus on equity and saying, hey, I'll take a lesser salary if we get more of an equity in whatever this stake is, just so we can all go, because everything's going to get bought out. I mean, that's just what business is. Eventually you'll kind of get bought out and sit and say, like, well, what's the equity that I put into it? Okay, well, I didn't get that great of a salary, but you know what? I had 1% equity. You sit and you look at Beats headphones, right? So they hired LeBron James for 1% of equity in the company. Well, when they sell for $3.2 billion, dude made $32 million, and all he had to do was just wear the headphones. Well, those are great strategic partnerships. It's being smart. It's understanding, you know, the background of what's going to come, where trends are going, who can affect this, and how can I cash out? I mean, that's such an important thing for young students, I think. You guys have the ability to have exactly what you want in life, and no one tells you that. I don't think they don't tell you that as a youngster, you know. And there's a big world out here, and I think the ability for you guys to go out there and affect it and live in it and learn from it, I think that's important.
It is. And entrepreneurship is at an all-time high right now, and especially within our generation right now. But with everybody's generation, entrepreneurship is just everybody wants to own their own business, right? So for you, was one group? I'm sorry, excuse me. Was it always in your plans?
No, it was not in my plans.
Because that's what I was wondering. Like, was it just the right time?
It was. Yeah, it was that. It went back to that faith.
Okay.
You know, of I want something in life, and I'm not going to get it sitting behind my desk at NRG, and I just knew that. So it's such a long. It's a long road, you know. You talk about overnight success, right? No one's an overnight success.
No.
It just does not happen. Like, lottery winners are overnight successes. Like,
Yes.
that's an overnight success. Other than that, in business, I found, you know, the harder you work, the luckier you get, right? So That was not in my plans in 2015, but 3 years later, here it is, and I'm a business owner, and there's a market that I'm trying to affect. We want to sit and see about being aggressive and being cautious, and there's such an even balance. It's such a dance that you have to do, but you just kind of gotta have to go for it. It's like a Band-Aid. You got to rip it off, or because if you're working, then it's just like, okay, well, I'll be doing this forever.
Rest of your life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
really want to do that because at the end of the day, if you have ownership change, then everyone's out of here.
Yeah,
and what do you get?
exactly.
You get a pat on the back for all the hard work you put in. You know what? Go to out of it.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So you graduated from Syracuse University.
Yes.
So I know what you learned back then, some of the information may be a little outdated, but some still is very relevant in today's day and age.
Yeah.
So how often do you have to refine your knowledge? I know you graduated with a broadcast journalism degree, right?
Yeah.
But you were in the public relations industry.
Yeah.
So how often do you have to refine your broadcasting skills and your public relations knowledge?
Well, I think you're constantly learning. I mean, you're always learning. I think when you, as an individual, stop learning, then we've hit a real bad spot, and you need to probably get out of what you're doing and say, okay, well, let's enhance something. I think that so many students have got to, I think the good thing about me is that my core was good back in 2001. It was good then, and it's good now. You've got your moral standards of what you want to do. I live by, in business, I live by three things, right? We've got to communicate well, we've got to have standards, and we've got to have trust. And if we don't have any of those, then how are we ever going to kind of do things? So when that's your core and you live by standards, did I call you back in enough time? Did I communicate back honestly about this is what it is? Did I say something was good when it wasn't? We're not going to learn that way. You never want that friend around you that's like, oh yeah, your hair looks great. It's like, no.
Yeah, no.
Actually, I made it look like crap just to see if you were actually going to make it say anything about it. So I think that's just so important. I think that standards are important. I think that the core of people, I think it's so important. The ability to be nice to people. I think that's nice and kind. I've got kids, and it's almost like I kind of talk to them like the person that I want to become. They inspire me. They're my heroes. I tell them that all the time. They really don't understand it, but I tell my daughter all the time. I think women are so important to our society. I think they will grow, in their importance once they realize the power that they have.
Thank you.
I think that's just so important. So I tell I try to give my daughter 5 things every day. I said, be disciplined, be respectful, be great, be independent, and be kind. Like, if we can do that, all 5 things in a day, then I think that we're pretty good.
So she mentioned Syracuse for one reason. I want to talk about it for another.
Sure,
Let's
sure.
talk about March Madness. How you feeling about that?
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I think everybody's shocked. A lot of people were shocked.
I really didn't think we would make it in the tournament. Right now, I really think this is like Boeheim's best coaching job he's ever done. He has 7 scholarship players, like literally 7 scholarship players. He beat a 30-4 team with a walk-on playing 7 minutes. I mean, they literally have 3 scoring options, and one of them fouled out with 7 minutes to go, and I think they were down.
It's unbelievable.
It really is.
So did you fill out a bracket?
I don't do brackets.
Oh,
I don't do brackets
Did
because
you have faith in Syracuse to
No,
begin
I
with?
didn't. I didn't at all. No, I don't do brackets because I start cheering for my bracket and not for my school. I'm just if we had a knife, I'd bleed orange all over this desk. Like, I am a big Syracuse fan.
Okay.
And I mean I enjoy it. It's a real tour of. I mean, I could not. The worst coach against that zone is Jamie Dixon. That guy. It's almost like he invented the zone. He has like a 15-6 record against Boeheim going into the last game, and they beat him. And I didn't get a chance to see it, so my stress levels are pretty down. Last week we were out of the country, so I didn't see the Arizona State game. When we're able to take on athletic teams, and basically against the zone, you have about 5 plays problem coming up for us is that we're playing Duke, who's very
I was
familiar
just
with
about
what
to
we're
say.
doing. And the other thing too is that Coach K is very smart. Where
He's gonna be prepared.
well, he's going to be prepared. Plus, he coached with Jim Boeheim all those years during the Olympics,
knows.
so he knows what to look for. So it's if we allow them to score more than 60 points, we got no shot.
It's a wrap.
Yeah. So it's going to come down to neutral court, pressure, and sit and see what we can do. It's funny, we lost to Kansas earlier this year. We lost to Duke earlier this year, and those are more than likely the two teams that we would have to go through. Like,
Yes.
we've played all three teams in this tournament. We beat Clemson, which was like literally the best win we had this year. So no, I am so into it. I love it. I find so much pleasure within watching the month of March, especially when my team's doing well like they are now.
Well, since we're talking about college basketball, I do want to get your take on how do it's March Madness right now, and everybody like UMBC beat Virginia.
Yeah.
Hello, like
Yeah.
history has
bracket
been
was
made.
done.
Yeah,
Done.
everybody's bracket was done.
Yeah.
But everybody's playing their heart out. There's been so many upsets already in March Madness. How do you feel about the players not getting paid? I just want to get your take on it.
Well, here's one of the important things that I think about. The NCAA makes lots of money.
Yes.
And the University of Houston makes lots of money based off of their student athletes, right? I could see there being corruption if you paid athletes, which everyone is trying to get around the system, if that makes any sense. The way that I think of this is this, right? I think that we can sit and say, what is your value to the school? And a school can sit and say, let's build a trust fund for a student athlete that will not be paid out while they're here in school, but let's just sit and say that, okay, you stayed for 1 year, your value is seen by an independent contractor as $800,000. Well, that $800,000 goes into a trust and it matures over, let's just say, 10 years.
See, I like that.
And you have, and all of a sudden, you look at a guy like Johnny Manziel, who with Texas A&M University, they were a good team, but he thrust them into such a bigger realm. I mean, it's what do they call Kyle Field, the house that all the extensions, the house that Johnny built. I mean, the most amount of donations that were being put into the school. Well, what does he get out of it?
Right.
It's nothing.
Exactly.
So I think the ability to have a trust fund would be a way that I would. A lot of people are smarter than what I am.
No, but this is my first time like getting that take on it because like I was kind of in between because of course I think that there could be some corruption with paying players as well, but also not playing players and they're playing their hearts out and the NCAA is making so much money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not fair,
I read somewhere that the NCAA's the bulk of their money comes from the NCAA as a whole. The bulk of their money comes from March Madness. It's over $1 billion. It's something
so much
like
money.
90% of their profit comes from March Madness. And that's not college baseball, that's not college football, because football, it's all independent. It's not as much NCAA as much as it is the independent bowls. So there's the structure there. I think that individual schools could do that. But then the problem that you have there is that you do a system like that, and all of a sudden now all the kids go to Kentucky, and now all the kids go to Kansas, and now all the kids. And so it just I don't know. It's
hard to
complicated.
say. It is complicated. It's really
It's a
complicated.
never-ending problem.
It is.
Yeah,
with
but
no real
there are
answer.
enough smart people that can get things figured out.
I think it can be figured out definitely. Now something needs to be figured out because of course, like I said, I don't think that it's fair for players just not to get paid or to get something out of it. So I like your idea, with the trust fund because that's something different and
You know what that is, to be honest? It's an equity stake.
It is,
The
it
kids
is.
have an equity stake.
Yeah.
And again, I think that your generation and the generation behind you will start to sit and see, like, if I'm working here, then what do I get at the end of the day? What are my stock options? What is my equity stake in what we're doing? Why am I going to come here? Because you guys are one of the first generations that actually values your work, and people will, there are going to be a lot of people that says no, and you guys push back enough and say no. I know my value, I know my worth. This is what we're going to do. But you just have to make smart decisions.
Yes.
But that's an important part of it, and you start to look at some of these technological inspirations that have happened within these since I'd say probably since Facebook. So you take Facebook, right? So Facebook was built on not the ability to connect people. Facebook was a guy that didn't know how to talk to girls that said, okay, let me sit and say, in Boston, let me sit and say, how can I talk to a girl that's from my hometown that's on the other side of campus? Well, let's put pictures on the Facebook, right? You sit and you look at Uber. Like Uber started as a guy that couldn't get a cab in San Francisco. You know, you look at Snapchat. Snapchat was the brainchild of inappropriate text. Like that's what this, and they figured it out. They built a business around it, and they got enough young people that got equity stakes in what they're doing. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, we got here and we built this. We, in 2002, built the Houston Texans. I don't have an equity stake, but you know, you guys could, in 2011, say, you know what, Snapchat, that's a pretty cool idea. Don't pay me a lot of money, just pay me equity in what we're doing. Let's make this thing the hottest thing that we can. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, oh, well, as soon as we go to stock, or as soon as I want to go do something else, well, I'll cash in my equity. Okay, well, my equity when we started was zero. Now all of a sudden, it's just, you know, the last time it was $34 billion was the worth a couple of years ago, maybe 5 years ago. And now all of a sudden, it hadn't gone down. It's a little more confusing to use, but it hadn't gone down, and it's changing the way that we communicate. Everyone wants to tell their story.
Yes.
I mean, you sit and look at Instagram. You know, Instagram was bought for $5 billion. The biggest hustle is YouTube. That was bought for $1 billion. Like, that's it? Like, what is YouTube worth now? And it's just, what's the equity stake that I can get within an idea?
Exactly.
Wow.
I think it's
That's
important.
crazy. It is important. It's very important.
I'm mad inspired. That was a wonderful interview. We really appreciate you sitting down
problem.
with us.
Thank
We
you all.
do have a gift for you.
Yes, we
Okay.
do.
Yes,
Yes,
a Breadwinners gift.
All right, I'm excited.
All right, it's a little Tennessee Titans guide to
Oh,
remind
awesome.
you of your humble
Thank you very
beginnings.
much. Thank you very much.
There he is. That's for you.
Where it all
So,
began.
it's a winner.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being with
Yes,
us.
thank
We've
you all
very
enjoyed
much. We really
listening to
appreciate it.
your entire story. It's been
Thank
really
you so
great.
much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
And thank you guys for checking out this episode of Breadwinners. We'll be back in a couple weeks.
Yes.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram. Breadwinners finally got a Twitter. We'll put that up
Hello,
for you.
Breadwinner Casey.
Casey,
right?
there you go.
Yeah, there we go.
But I'll put it up in text since she just messed that up. It's all good. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Nico Bell.